I wouldn't say a lost art, but an art that is not known.
So, in this condition, how to focus the mind? Urge to express one's own inner self, because no human being, the sound shift from position number 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, you release minimum breath. Now, from your concentrated state, you are entering into a meditative state. There are 19 syllables in each line. Constantly chanting the mantras. Make it a habit of daily prayers in the morning and evening. 20, 25 prayers. It needs to be, because so then one gets reasserted again. None of these problems the word doubt can solve. Now you have to ask this question: why body is called Deha? So the body works like a case.
And each word is said with such beauty.
Agne vratapate vratam charishyami tachakeyam tanme radhyatam idamahamanrutat satyamupaimi. Om Agnaye Swaha Idamagnaye Jatavedase Idanna Mama.
Welcome,
Namaskar.
Sampadanji. Today we'll explore the research that you have done lately, and you've published this book, The Wonder That Is Avadhanam. The Avadhana Kala is, I wouldn't say a lost art, but an art that is not known to the masses, to the common public. And your work has brought that out. It has shed light on this powerful art and science that is part of our Sanskriti, our ancient heritage. We run a school named Sharada Prabha, where we teach Sanskrit from the age of 2, from Playgroup onwards, starting with Subhashitas and Shlokas, later on Sutras as well, and then Sambhashanam. I would like to first ask you about the impact of this language on the attention span of the children. This is the most common problem, as you might have also noticed and observed in today's society. Children, especially with the advent of technology, smartphones, and social media, especially on the smartphones, they're fixated on the phones. And unfortunately, parents also hand them the phone to uh, kind of let go of that responsibility of spending quality time with them. It's convenient, but it comes with a great price. And the price is that the child is becomes so fixated that he gets used to just consuming information. And when it comes time to actually actively paying attention to a task, whether it's studying or work or play, they're not able to. So this attention deficit is rising. And we have an Ayurvedic clinic also on campus. So we try to, help children overcome this through the Ayurvedic way. But we see this more and more on the rise, whether you call it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or deficit at many levels. So would you please comment, based on your research and your experience and your knowledge of Sanskrit, how can study of Sanskrit from an early age help children develop a longer, healthier attention span?
Yeah, very good question, and it's a very burning issue. Not only in the children, even among the adults also, this too much engagement with the digital gadgets. So it is increasing so much that we have mastered distraction. So, in this condition, how to focus the mind or be attentive? Sanskrit, as a very scientific and systematic language, even there are people who have problem with the word scientific and systematic when you connect it with Sanskrit. That is also there. But I would very, forcefully and strongly say that it is a highly scientific and systematic language. And because of this scientific nature of the language, it has tremendous impact on various layers of our consciousness. Look at the purity of the vibration of the sounds. Sanskrit as a language has preserved the most pure primal sounds in its own system, fundamental sounds. Why it's called the fundamental sounds? And these are the fundamental sounds not just of Sanskrit but of the entire humanity. Why? Because the way these sounds are produced, how our ancient seers and sages have observed the very source, origin of the sound, and the mechanism through which a sound gets produced. And if you concentrate on the whole mechanism of this sound production, then you will be convinced that these are the fundamental sounds of the entire humanity. One example I'll give you. So, when we are saying the Varnamala, which constitutes the basic fundamental sounds of the language, when you wish to express your ideas, your thoughts, or anything that you want to express, or anyone wants to express, so what is observed is that the moment there is this vivaksha, vivaksha means an aspiration or desire to express, communicate. Whenever there is an anubhava or experience, an anubhava happens like through the senses, we uh, grasp things, and slowly it creates anubhava in us. And this anubhava, the very nature of every anubhava is to become expressed, not to remain secret, hidden, absolute uh, within. It wants to express. And this urge to express has given birth to the language. That's the origin of language. Urge to express one's own inner self, what the soul wants to express. Okay, all the anubhava. And when that happens, the fire element within us, it gets triggered, and it further triggers the air element, and the air rises above through the vocal cord and then gets obstructed at some possible positions. I call it possible positions. Why? You will understand it. I'll explain it to you. When the air is rising up, the very first place of obstruction is the place where from you say ka, kha, ga, gha. Mm. The very first place of obstruction. Why it is the very first place, very first possible position? Because no human being can produce a fundamental sound from a place, from a position below where from one says ka. It's not possible. So the ka is the first fundamental sound of the humanity.
Yeah.
You can have some lowest expressions, but a fundamental pure consonantal sound is ka. Then you have ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. Five distinct sounds from the same position. What makes this distinction? I'll come to that later. But then there is a second possible position. The second possible position is where from you say cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. In the first possible position, the root of the tongue comes in contact with the soft palate, where you say ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. In the second possible position, where from you say cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, the upper middle of the tongue comes in contact with the back of the arch, center arch. Okay, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. And just imagine where from you are saying ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, and then where from you are saying cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. There's so much of space available in between, but not a single fundamental consonant is possible from that in between space. That's why it's the second possible position. The third possible position is where from you say ta, tha, da, dha, na. The tip of the tongue rolls back and then hits the center of the arch, front part. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Okay. Then the fourth possible position is where the tip of the tongue hits the back of the upper teeth at the center. So you get ta, tha, da, dha, na. And the last possible position is where both the lips are pressed together and you get pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So you can observe the sound shift from position number 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 in a very disciplined order. The sounds emerge. Now what happens? Suppose I'll give you a little practical problem and its solution. You find a lot of children are unable to say ta tha da dha na. Lot of people also. So they will say ta tha da dha na. Okay. Ta is not possible. For me, it is easy that the child is unable to lift the tongue. Ta. Roll the tongue and then bring it in contact with the front of the arch. So there may be some kind of soft stiffness at the tip of the tongue where the child is unable. That stiff tongue can be corrected. Okay, it's not a not an organic problem. It can be corrected by constantly practicing a lot of sound patterns. So that is how, based on the Samskrita Varnamala, one can rectify lot of speech related disorders and disabilities. This is what I have been doing for several years, and then this is what is my project, Sanskrit and speech pathology, where lot of like these issues. So I met in Rajasthan one girl. So she was unable to say the ka group of sounds. Okay, if you ask her to say kurkure, she will say turture. If you ask her to say Coca-Cola, she will say Tototola. So the ka group sounds are becoming tha group sound. But I could identify where lies the problem and created a set of patterns, sound patterns for her. Gave it to her. Within 3-4 months, it was corrected. She was able to do that. There are processes. And then again, you see that within the group, there are 5 distinct sounds. Ka. Then you have kha. What makes the difference between ka and kha? When you say ka, you release minimum breath and you are more ingathered, concentrated. And when you say kha, you are expanding. Now, from your concentrated state, you are entering into a meditative state. That is the difference between concentration and meditation. Concentration is focused on one. Meditation is that one has to spread into many. Meditation. Okay. So That's why kha se khulapan, kha se khilna, khulna, and you can feel the that you are expanding. So in Sanskrit, kha is space, expanded space, and ga, like in the case of ka and kha, there is a kind of friction, harshness, because the vocal cord is tight and you loosen it, and then the sound becomes a ga with minimal breath. Now ga becomes the more rhythmic and soft sound, soft moving rhythmic sound. That is why ga se geet, gati, gaman, gan, right? Because it is a rhythmic movement which you experience for the first time when you say ga. Ga is a movement. That's why the one who moves in the space is khaga. Bird is called khaga. An aeroplane is called khaga. Surya is called khaga. That's why in Surya Namaskar you say Om Khagaya Namaha. Right? So khaga is anything that moves in the space. Even our, so that is why the sound and the sense in Sanskrit, they have a nitya sambandha, an eternal relationship. The sense emerges out of the depth of the sound. In conventional language, the sound sense relationship is never taken care of. It's not that. You are asked to understand that this is hand. There you should stop. Don't ask why it is called hand. But in Sanskrit, you can ask why it is called hasta. Now, from ga, you make it mahaprana, release the sound with maximum breath, it becomes gha. So, ka, kha, alpa prana, mahaprana. Ga, gha, alpa prana, mahaprana, with the softness. Okay. Then, till then, the nasal cavity is closed. Now you make an opening. Allow the breath to pass through the nasal, to the nostrils. The same sound, soft sound, becomes nga. Okay, it's a oronasal sound. Now here there is another thing also to be observed, that every oronasal sound which comes at the end of each group, nga, nya, na, na, ma, it makes a very unique kind of pranayama in us. In the sense that when you recite it, when you say it, articulate it, the breath release is simultaneous both through the mouth and the nose. You can't close your mouth and say these sounds. You can't close your nose and then say these sounds also. Both the nose and the mouth have to be open, right? Now, when you recite it, like Panini has made a sutra out of it, Nyamangananam, and if you keep reciting it, so your nasalization, your nasal congestion, your sinusite, migraine, all these problems can be eradicated by reciting the oronasal sounds. They have lot of health benefit. Okay. Similarly, I have put this practice of urasya. Now the last sound in the Varnamala is ha. Okay. When it gets combined with a na, ma, ya, ra, la, va, it becomes urasya. That means the pressure shifts from the throat to chest. Okay. Suppose you say na, na, ma, ya, ra, la, va. Okay. If you say these seven sounds 20-25 times, you can see like what it does to your lungs. It keeps the lungs perfect. It's a kind of natural Kapalabhati Kriya, Swabhavik Kapalabhati Kriya. You don't have to put much effort, like how much breath and all this stuff. And if you find it difficult to pronounce, then you can recite the words like aparahana, chihna, brahman, okay, hrasva, bahya, ahlada, ahvana, right? So speaking Sanskrit itself is healing, because the language is designed in such a manner, every aspect of this language, whether a word or a sentence or a verse or a paragraph, when you read it, there is an inbuilt pranayama system which takes care of your well-being. It manipulates the breath in a very systematic and in a very ordered and measured manner. And that's again when you come to the chandas, the metrical pattern. I'll give you one example, like how it does the pranayama. So there is a particular meter called Sardula Vikriditam. Now that's also like in Gujarati poems also you'll find Sardula Vikriditam. That means that tiger's play. What does it mean, tiger's play? So tiger's play means like when a tiger is waiting for its prey, it's leaning back, very much poised and fully concentrated on the prey. When the prey comes close, the first leap of the जो पहला छलांग है, the first leap of the tiger is a long leap followed by short leaps. Okay. Now Shardula Vikriditam, this pattern is imitated in the prosody. That is why it is called Shardula Vikriditam. There are 19 syllables in each line. 4 lines make a poem. So each line will have 19, 19, 19, 19. Now what happens? Like you can't say all the 19 syllables in one go. Somewhere you need to stop. Or where should you stop? Okay. For the Shardula Vikriditam, the first pause has to come on the 12th syllable. So from syllable number 1 to 12, you can't take breath. Okay. Ya kundendu tusharahara dhavala. Pause. Ya shveta padmasana. Pause. So 12, the first leap of the tiger, long leap. Then on 19th. So 12 by 7 is the pause pattern. Now you see how it manipulates your breath, or how the ayama of the breath. Ayama means vistara. The pran vistara. That is pranayama. Pranayama is not breathing exercise. Okay. So breathing exercise may help but pranayama helps you to breathe till the toe. There is a Chinese proverb which says, in ancient times, those who lived long, they breathed till the toe. Just imagine like how long is the breath. More long your breath, more vistar you have achieved in the breath, more you live long. A tortoise breathes 3 times a minute, lives 500, 700 years. A rabbit breathes more than 30 times, lives for 3, 4 years. That's the lesson from tortoise and rabbit story, which we all learn. Okay. It's not just rabbit is sleeping and then winning the game and all this, but deeper reason is there. Why these two characters are brought. Learn from there. Breathing pattern. More longer you breathe, more you live. Life becomes longer. So every metrical pattern has an inbuilt system of pranayama. That's how Sanskrit becomes a finest tool for our well-being. All those who speak, I have seen in the temples, all these pandits, whatever they want, they eat. Big tummies. They hardly have any BP, cholesterol, and all these things. Happy whole day reciting mantras. हावी एकदम मस्त रहते हैं. उनको कोई लेके मेजर करे, let them measure their BP, cholesterol, sugar, and all these problems. They're happy people. They're constantly chanting the mantras day and night from morning to evening. Okay, and that has a tremendous impact. So if you have a children, so that's why I say like children having attention deficiency, no focus, hyper, okay, autistic problem, but we'll come to autism later. But minimum, like no focus, very hyper, and memory power is low. I tell them that randomly select 10-20 prayers in Sanskrit and just recite it before them. Don't force them. If the children are small, don't force them to sit and recite. Parents should do it on their own, like we do. Morning and evening, we will recite at least 20-25 mantras every day. And the child is observing and listening. And there, grahana, dharana, patur bala. There is a natural capacity of grasping and retaining. ये सहज है, स्वाभाविक है in the children. So if you just recite before them, do things, they are ruthless observers of everything. And they observe, they retain things. Right? So do it. Parents should just recite. Make it a habit of daily prayers in the morning and evening. 20, 25 prayers. The child will listen and after few months will join with you. Or if you start teaching them, it becomes easier. And the moment they start reciting it, listening to it intensely and then reciting it, and you see the difference. Within 2 to 3 months, they will gain back their focus. Their memory power will increase. These are all experimented fact, not fanciful statement. You do it and you see the result. If it doesn't happen, then start doubting. Don't doubt before that. Okay. So it's a very highly systematic, very highly scientific tool. It's designed in that way. So then it helps us maintaining our well-being, and especially the children.
And the parents will also benefit if the
Yeah, parents will benefit
and
because it helps us. Even parents also, they want their well-being. No?
correct.
Not that our children should remain healthy and wealthy and we not. No, everyone has to be healthy, maintain one's own well-being. So like when you enter into some kind of frustration or dejection, just recite some verses. Go out, be in the nature, look at the flowers, look at the leaves, look at the birds flying, look at the insects moving. Be in the nature, be a part of it, observe it, lie down in an open space, look at the vastness of the sky, and immediately your Vishad will go. Vishad will go. Okay. So when you start growing, lot of negative things within yourself will start going. Grow or go.
That's a beautiful statement because, and we're fortunate that we're teaching and students are learning in the midst of nature. The school is situated in the lap of nature.
That's beautiful.
So they have an opportunity to actually go out and observe. And that has been one of our aims is to sharpen their art of observation and art of listening as well. Moving away from technology, away from screen time, and actually refining your senses so that you can pick up on the nuances of nature. You can enjoy the beauty of nature, experience rasa of life. How can Sanskrit help with that? Because from the examples that you just gave, Sanskrit requires laser sharp precision, laser sharp focus. So for that attention to detail is very important. Like you pointed out, where the tongue or which part of the tongue is touching which part of the roof or the palate, it makes a big difference.
Very big difference, because say to speak and to speak with awareness is two different things. And when you start speaking with awareness, it has tremendous impact. It has tremendous impact.
Can you give some examples of how children can sharpen their critical thinking and creative thinking with the help of Sanskrit? So why I'm saying that is, I'll give you some background. Our idea is that these children don't grow up and just take a government job. That is not good for the nation also, because the government needs homegrown businesses to generate wealth. And at one point India was, Bharat was one of the wealthiest countries. So if we want that we create homegrown products and that we generate wealth, we actually provide employment rather than seek employment. We want people who can solve problems, real life problems of their own and especially of the society. And if you are able to do that, then society will obviously give you finances in return, which will help create wealth in society. So for efficient problem solving, you need to have a very sharp critical thinking power and creative thinking power, both.
Yeah.
You need to be able to think out of the box, think quickly, be on your toes, have that sense of wit, that sense of or solution oriented mindset, But today we don't see that in the youth. So we want to avoid that. We want to avoid that problem. Today's youth, they fail one exam or they fail one endeavor or they have some setback and they give up, and then they break down. We don't want students to grow up to be like that.
Mhm.
So how can Sanskrit make them efficient problem solvers, not creators?
Okay. See, the very design of this language uh, makes you think logically. Logic is at the uh, basis of the very design of this language, which you don't find in the conventional languages. Okay. Today, in the systems thinking principles or design thinking principles, you have this interconnectedness,
Hmm.
feedback loop, some of the foundational principles or fundamental principles of design thinking, systems thinking. Now, if you look at the design of the language, how a word is created from a root sound, the very mathematical precision and the logic with which a word is created, a sentence is formed, the structure of the sentences, and there are many many concepts which I will give you examples, so then you know the why of it. Okay. Now see, you have to create a particular word. Hmm? So every word has a root sound of its own. Every root sound has ranges of experiences associated with it, right? So you pick up any word, any concept, you want to understand it, go to the root sound, the root experiences, and then how the meanings emerged from that root sound, and why these experiences are associated with, or why these meanings are associated with that particular root sound. And then whenever it, like the same root sound gives birth to hundreds of such words, okay, words, thousands of words from the same root sound, by addition of lots of suffixes, prefixes, and other components, you get thousands of words created, and different meanings also get attached to the same root sound, but the fundamental experiences remain same. I'll give you some very logical example,
Please.
which I have shared it with many others, and many platforms, many talks of mine also has this example. But since it fits well here, I will not miss the opportunity to repeat it again. Where repetition is also a part of our
Right.
educational, pedagogy. Okay. The same concept. If you look at the Gita, many people reading the Gita complain also, why the same thing he is telling again and again. It needs to be. It needs to be, because so then one gets reasserted again, confirmed and reconfirmed and reconfirmed. That's how the conviction grows. Okay. So I'm repeating it for the sake of the listeners of this podcast. So, say for example, like in English, we say doubt, doubt. Can this word doubt explain you what is the source of doubt? What happens at the mental psychological level when the doubt arises? Why the doubt arises? None of these problems the word doubt can solve. But if you pick up any word signifying doubt in Sanskrit, every word will explain you and take you to the source of your doubt, and then give you a solution how you can get rid of your doubt, because it is making you more and more aware of you, what's happening within you, where from that movement is coming, what is the source of it. And once you know the source of it, you have a solution to it. Okay. There are plenty of words for doubt: shanka, sandigdhata, sanshaya, sandeha. Okay. I'll take the word sandeha. The word sandeha, which means doubt, has two components in it: sam as a prefix, and deha is the word. Now, sam as a prefix, like you get sangachadvam, sambadadvam, Or take the word samskara, samskruti, sampad, samskrut, sam. Sam means totality, perfection, togetherness. Okay, so it refers to this kind of experiences, purnata, integrality. So these are the meanings of sam. So if sam means perfect, then the next word is deha. Deha means what?
Body.
Body. Now the first doubt comes here. What has doubt to do with deha? Body. Now you have to ask this question, why body is called deha?
Hmm.
Okay, you have a logical answer to it. Body is called deha. For that we need to know what is the root sound of deha. The root sound of deha is dih. It has got layers of meanings. The first fundamental experience associated with dih is to gather, to collect, to compile, to bring together. Okay, so that's the first experience. And what happens when you start gathering things? Suppose you didn't have any money, zero, and you started collecting money. Now what you see? Your money is growing, right? So now gathering, your experience of gathering, compiling, putting together, leading you to the experience of growth. Okay, see the interconnectedness. Now growth, when there is something growing, what impact it has on the physical level, emotional level, mental psychological level, spiritual level, and all these layers you can take, right? So suppose physically you say, like you are sitting there, I'm sitting here, in between something has grown. We were talking, we are unaware, but here in between us something is growing. Someone has did some black magic, something is growing. So now what is the most physical experience? That you can't see me and then I can't see you.
Obstruction.
Obstruction. Okay, it covers, right? It blocks. So to block, to cover, to obstruct, okay, to plaster, to anoint, to hide, to keep it secret, okay, this becomes then the third layer of meaning. Okay, but all these meanings are connected with each other, each one giving birth to each other, like one root idea leading you to various ideas, but they're all interconnected. Now all the three layers of meanings of Dehi you can take and then explain why body is called Deha. The first property is what? To gather.
Hmm.
Body is not a single mold, single piece. It is a collection of many upadan, many components. You have the Pancha Mahabhut, you have the bones, marrows, flesh, sinews, okay, so many things. It is an assemblage, assembled, like you said, like my TV is an assembled piece. There's so many components brought from here and there and assembled, and then they give you one piece. So it is an assembled piece, body. First layer of meaning. Second layer is body's property is to grow. I am not of the same size as I was born. It's growing. I eat too much, it starts growing, then it starts reducing. So growth, expansion becomes the property of the body. That's why tanu, body, another name for body is also tanu. Tan means to expand. Okay, expand. So expansion and growth is another property of the body. You got into the second layer of meaning. Third layer is cover. This body is what? It's just a case, a box which conceals the soul within. The soul is covered within. Nihitam guhayam.
Hmm.
Right? It's secret at the depth of our heart. But without body, can you think of the soul? So the body works like a case. You have sheaths, kosha. Okay, so it covers, it conceals, keeps the soul secret within itself. So you get all the three meanings, three experiences, and explain why body is called Deha. But why body is called body, no one can explain. BODY, body. Everyone is using. But the logic, no. But here is a language look at to what depth of awareness it is taking you and creating what depth of awareness. When you think of your body as a deha, kaya, kalevara, tanu, you have different awareness about the body. This is how the physical awareness grows. And here is a language which is designed in such a manner, it creates that awareness in you. You are not a man functioning mechanically, but it forces you to function with awareness because it's a language of awareness. Now, what happens? Certain layer of meaning becomes prominent in certain words because here it is directly connected with soul. The body is a cover, so covering becomes a prominent meaning here because it has a soul connection, right? So now sandeha becomes perfect covering. What does it mean? Like when your consciousness is clouded, crowded, you don't see the reality. You start, asking this question: is this or is that? What is this? Because consciousness is clouded. In a covered consciousness, in a clouded and crowded, chaotic consciousness, you cannot have a clear idea about the truth, about the reality. That's the source of doubt. When you become free from the clouded, chaotic consciousness, you see the truth clearly. You have that clear vision. That is what is Sandeha. A single word, how deeply it is connected with our psychology. How deeply it explains, how logically it explains what I need to do. And what is the meaning of the word. This is the design of the language. The very design of the language. Now see how it brings sanskar. Now in English you say I love you. Everyone says I love you. What important sentence this is, from the children to the adult, we all know. But grammatically, design point of view, that sentence is what? I am the subject. I love you. You is objective sentence. The objective world, those who are more focused on materialistic objective world, they can have only the sentence formed in objective. So you become the object of my love. I can use you as an object. You are the object of my love. But you cannot translate this sentence into Sanskrit in objective. Aham tvam snihyami. It's not possible. Grammatically it will be wrong. Sanskrit uses locative. Aham tvai snihyami. That means I find the love in you. Love is universal. But I find the love in you. I find the love in that. हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, तुझ में रब दिखता है. That seeing the love, but not using someone as the object of love. It's a big difference.
Yes.
So aham tvai prinami, tvai snihyami, tvai mama prema, tvai, in you. You are not the object, but you, I see that love manifesting in you. Right? It makes a very big difference. That's how it has created our consciousness. Our sanskar is different. And when we fall into the trap of the conventional languages where the very design is different, because the language and the culture and the consciousness, they keep impacting each other. So that is where lies how logically the Sanskrit language is designed, and that logical way of dealing with the language, going deep into understanding the various nuances, its morphology, its phonology, its syntax, its semantics, what logic it carries within. Okay. That develops the critical thinking.
Yes.
Okay. And it is not just the logic but the interconnectedness, how each one keep impacting each other. Say for example, if 10 different objects have the same property, similar properties. And if you have a word for one object showing that property, that same word can be used for the rest of the 10 words because they have the similar property. Just put a map, root sound, giving birth to a word. That word is connected with one object, and another 5 objects are showcasing the same property. You can link again those to that, and then there can be various words, various property describing various properties of a word, and each word has a root sound. Just look at the interconnectedness, and then each one keep impacting each other, the feedback loop. If you look at from the fundamental principles of systems thinking and design thinking, here is a language which is designed for that. You can draw a lot of inspiration for your design thinking, your systems thinking, your logical thinking, reasoning power. It automatically grows. Sanskrit and mathematics, they're synonymous. Sanskrit and music, they're synonymous. Sanskrit and dance and rhythm, they're synonymous. And if music helps in developing critical thinking, if dance helps, if rhythm helps, Sanskrit helps.
Beautiful. And both critical and creative, because as you
Yes,
said,
creative.
each word has so much creative power, each
Absolutely.
root has so much creative
Correct.
power. The sky is the
So
limit.
look at the creativity. There is a word, Chandra Chuda Chuda Mani. This is a word for moon, right? Moon is Chandra, and here it's a Chandra Chuda. Chandra Chuda is whose name? Shiva's name. Why? Chuda means he is Shikhara, because he has Chandra in. So Chandra Chuda becomes Shiva because he has moon on his forehead. Okay. Then Chudamani becomes the crest jewel of, or crest jewel, you can say Chudamani. So the crest jewel of Chandra Chuda is who? Moon itself.
Right.
Right. How you use the word moon to describe moon, and you have a word Chandra Chuda Chudamani referring only to the moon.
It's not
Plenty of creativity you can bring, innovation you can bring, and the examples you have like Anulom Vilom, Viloma Kavya. You have various Bandha Chitras, Chitra Kavyas, Swara Chitra, Vyanjana Chitra, Kriya Gupti, Prahelika. Plenty of such, Kuta Shlokas. Okay. There you can find tremendous amount of creativity. Like suppose there is a look at the creative aspect of it. There is a style of composition called Kamadhenu. Kamadhenu means like you have Sata Kamadhenu, Sahasra Kamadhenu, Koti Kamadhenu. It means like you write a verse, and that verse, suppose you write it in Anushtup, and that has got 32 characters. You choose 32 characters in such a manner that using the same characters you can write another 100 verses, like one verse giving birth to 100 verses. That is Satakamadhenu. If you choose again creatively and create 1000 verses out of the same verse, same characters, it's Sahasra Kamadhenu, Koti Kamadhenu. People have written verses like this. Look at the creativity, the way, I mean, to think that such things are possible itself needs much acumen, much creativity.
And each word is said with such beauty. Not a dry way of saying it, but it evokes rasa in the other person.
Absolutely.
And in oneself. In fact, when you said sandeha, doubt means there are two choices. And then you also said those two choices, or that doubt is covering consciousness, which is choiceless, as Krishnamurti said, choiceless awareness. So that leads me to my next question. We have Bhagwan Nityanand's photo here, and the words that he spoke in his childhood. Later on, he observed mostly silence, but the words that he spoke in his early years were written down by a devotee named Tulsi Amma, and when asked because they were cryptic in nature. They were not easily understood by people. And so when he was asked who said this or where did these words come from, he said Chidakash. So that brings me to the question that what is the relationship between Sanskrit and consciousness? Because when you mentioned doubt clouds consciousness, consciousness is choiceless, and Sanskrit, and it's silent. And Sanskrit is the language of the gods, which emerges from silence, but it's sound. So, what is the relationship between these two, and how it can help us realign ourselves or recognize our true nature as consciousness?
So, our Vedic and Tantric tradition, grammatical tradition, poetic tradition, our Bhasha Parampara, our Rishi Parampara, it had this Upalabdhi, this realization that everything originates from the divine. There is a divine origin of everything. So, the Bhasha also has its origin in the divine. This is first, this is the premise. So, we worship Bhasha as Vagdevi. We do the Vagdevi Upasana. Then the Bhasha, the sound, the Dhvani, the Vak, is seen at a, like at four different levels. It has a sthula aspect of it, grossmost aspect of it. It has a subtlemost aspect of it. The subtlemost aspect of it is called the Paravak, which is Nishabdam Tat Parabrahma. That is the Supreme Brahman, Nishabda, silence. Every sound that we create, it wells from silence. Silence is at the source of everything. And ultimately, silence speaks. Okay. So now, the grossmost aspect of it is the Vaikhari. And the Vaikhari becomes very fruitful, very useful, and very powerful also, very impactful when it doesn't lose the connection of it with its source. That's why when the rishis, munis, they speak very few words. Like you pointed out, now he didn't speak, he didn't have to speak. His silence speaks, his presence speaks, will keep speaking for ages after ages. Because words, outer words, are not that important than the inner silence. Gurustu maunam vyakhyanam, shishyatu chinna sansaya. The Guru doesn't speak anything, but the Shishya's sandeha is getting cleared. His clouded consciousness is becoming purer and purer and purer. The Gurus, the Adhyatmic realized souls, they influence by their presence, not by their words. And even if they speak in their words, one has to see the silence. One has to see what is the mantric force behind every word that they speak. Right? And they speak very straightforward. Their presence matters. So there are four layers. The grossmost level it is Vaikhari, the subtlemost level it is Para. And when the Para level, the Vani descends, it descends through various layers. The first layer is Pashyanti. At the Pashyanti level, it is the seeing word. It sees very clearly what are the possibilities of its manifestation, in what form, carrying what sense it will manifest. You see the totality of its manifestation. The seeing word. Like an architecture, before he designs anything, or artist, he has the whole picture in his visualization. Then he draws it part by part. That's called the Pashyanti level. Then, because it sees all the possibilities, even for its manifestation purpose, so it gets attached with a particular meaning, it gets particularized. So that level is called Madhyama, where the Vani gets connected with the Buddhi, with the intellect, for its manifestation. Then what comes out in the sound form is the Vaikhari. Okay. And a Rishi is conscious of all the layers of its descent. While speaking a word, a Rishi carried all the different meanings that it has and is aware of the contextual, that particularized meaning for serving a purpose, but carries all the meanings in its awareness. Okay, that is what is the Rishitva. That is the power of a Rishi, that it carries all the senses within it. Okay, so this awareness is important when we speak the Vani in the matter of speech. Our speech should not be mechanical, robotic, gatanugatic, losing connectedness with the soul. Then only we will have a greater elevated consciousness. Okay, because it is that Vani which is raising our consciousness, right? So what it does, Ucharana. When we do the Ucharana, we understand by Ucharana is articulation. But what is the real sense of Ucharana? Ut means up. Charana means moving. The soul rising with the prayer, with the mantra. That is the real Ucharana. You articulate, you are reciting, you are singing, a musician is singing or playing. Ucharana is happening at the outer level. But if in the inner level the soul is not rising with that, then it is not the true Ucharana. That is what is meant by, like when you say it, like he didn't speak. Whole life he was silent. His silence will keep speaking through the ages. All those who are conscious can listen to what he speaks in silence. And that awareness, Sanskrit has the power to create, because it's a language of awareness. It's a sacred language, because every component of it, every aspect of it makes us aware of the sacredness of life, sacredness of this creation, sacredness of the sound, sacredness of everything. That's why it is called a sacred language. That's why it is called a language of readiness, a language of awareness. That's the power of this language, a mantric language.
Sacredness of our own existence.
Yes, absolutely.
Of very life
Sacredness
itself.
of everything.
And it's such a sacred language that in order to unleash or manifest its power of bestowing this realization, we have to approach it as a goddess.
Goddess. That's why it has to be done. The upasana has to be done. It's not a mere ordinary language like others. So it needs sadhana, it needs upasana. It's a Shakti, and when the Shakti upasana is done with samarpana, with bhakti, it manifests its own greatness to the sadhaka, to the upasaka. That's how Sanskrit has to be treated. It's not a survival language. You can still use it for day-to-day purpose. There also, each and every word, like to the Vedic rishis, the words were not representative of lifeless ideas. They were living entities.
Yes.
Each and every word is pulsating with life, with truth. That when you start feeling, then the language has a tremendous impact, and it raises you to a different level. Refines. You get the refinement, the sanskara. That is why it is called the Sanskrita language.
Sanskrita language. And that once you are in touch with that, which is its goal, then no matter in which language you speak,
yes, you can still carry the same consciousness,
yes.
because your consciousness is that you can start using any language. You have the power to elevate any language from its level of inertia to the level of a mantra.
Right. Like Sri Aurobindo
did it with English. Tulsidas, Kabir Das,
yes.
Mirabai, Tukaram.
Yeah.
What they did? They raised the language to. They spoke the same ordinary words.
But they're equal to the Vedas.
But
Yeah.
Same ordinary word that we use in our day-to-day life. But when you read it in their, text, their words, their prayers, it elevates. Because it is the consciousness attached with that word. Many people ask me, why do you keep so many books of Sri Aurobindo and others? Do you get time to read? I said, no. Who am I to read even? Can I really read and understand such texts? They are brought down, these words were brought down from a very high plane of consciousness. But I consider each and every book as a living entity. When these books are around me, I am in the presence of that consciousness,
Mm.
that living presence. And that educates me, that teaches me, that silence speaks to me.
I feel the same way, and I think for all those who teach Sanskrit and study Sanskrit, this is an important reminder that we approach Sanskrit as a sacred language which has the potential to reveal our own sacredness,
Divinity.
divinity.
It's not it's not fanciful that we have kept a name Deva Bhasha.
Deva Bhasha, Deva Vani, Deva
Devavani,
Nagari,
Divyavani,
Lipi, Divya Vani.
Devanagari. It's divine at its core.
Yeah.
It has the power to evoke that divinity within everyone who uses it, approaches it consciously, with Shraddha, with Bhakti,
Yes, with Shraddha.
with Samarpana.
Correct.
It's tremendously impactful language.
Yes. So with that, we conclude this conversation, although there's much to be explored, but I think this is an important takeaway for all of us, and we all pray to Vagdevi that we also experience our own sacredness at all times.
Dhanyavad.
Namo Namah.
Namo Namah.